You waiting on me. Fall on me now. Put all your blessings on me. I know that you're waiting on me. Show me how you about to please me. Back it on me, baby, tease me. Catch me, I'm up on your TV. Every time you start to miss me. Oh yeah, I know I'm on your mind. Oh yeah. I'm locked with you tonight, yeah. Just touch down, I want all of your heart, yeah. All up on me, want you all up on me. Your hips and waist, I don't need you to tell me. Show me how you about to please me. Back it on me, baby, tease me. Catch me, I'm up on your TV. Every time you start to miss me. Oh yeah.
Traveling from Lagos to London, and everybody else gets to see you but me.
Shit, and we are back. As usual, I'm doing my best to not curse on this show, even though it is called Welcome to the Raw Zone. But I also know that I am now an adult, and some people, aka the little people in my life, have now started to watch this. So we're going to try to behave ourselves. But what's up, bro? It's your homegirl, Ivy, Katie, whatever you want to call me. Just talk to me nice because it is 2026. And if you are still on some 2025 petty time, we don't want you here. This is Welcome to the Raw Zone, though, everyone. You could catch us everywhere on our website, rawzonenyc.com, or subscribe to our YouTube at rawzonenyc. We are also live from our radio homes of Puso 82.3 FM every Wednesday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, that means tomorrow. You could check out last week's episode with Miss Nia Dorsey on Puso 82.3 FM. And, of course, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Evening Rush Radio Network. And, of course, you can stream us on iHeartRadio, Amazon, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast fix. We are proudly sponsored by, if I will pull up, the PNSBC, aka Phipps Neighborhood Spring Basketball Classic. Shout out to the family at Wings Academy and Coney Brooks who put up this amazing initiative. The PNSBC brings together top high school players from across New York City. The league emphasizes competition, education, community service, and personal growth, preparing our players to succeed both on and off the court. And all of our games can be streamed on youtube.com/PNSBC League. Yes, I'm biased. I am a Wings Beacon Elite girl. So shout out to Wings Beacon Elite. My boys, our interviews are dropping from our media day during the week on Instagram Live. Please tap in with them. It's an amazing group of young individuals. Once again, shout out to Coney Brooks and the team at the PNSBC. If you want to sponsor with us, we're across 150 countries with 20,000 listeners across our platforms. Please sponsor your brand with us. Promote yourself with us. Thank you to everyone once again that was part of our 2025 Give Back for Sean. Whether you donated, shared, volunteered, partnered, or showed love because you just fuck with our cause, I am so grateful to all of you. Because of you, last year we were able to raise $5,200 We're working toward a $10,000 goal. Hopefully, by the time we do this for 10 years, we already made our 10K goal. We do this now every year, our Give Back for Sean initiative and the Road to the Give Back and the Give Back concert for Sean Seguid, who at not even 30 years old lost his fight to endometrial sarcoma back in 2017, a cancer so rare that fewer than 130 cases have been reported worldwide. It hides within blood clots, undetected by scans, and is tragically discovered before it's too late. In Sean's case, it was found during emergency open heart and lung surgery that ultimately saved his life long enough for him to fight for a year and a half and advocate for a disease nobody knew. Sarcoma is considered the forgotten cancer. It makes up 1% of all adult cancers while making up 15% of juvenile cancers. Symptoms are mistaken for everyday aches or injuries, which delays diagnosis and treatment, as well as also mistaken for some athletic injuries. Through our Give Back, we raise funds for the Sarcoma Foundation of America, supporting research, treatment, and resources for patients, families, and caregivers. We also been using our initiative over the last year to honor Kelly Brown, who is a sarcoma warrior who joined us in our Give Back initiative when we met her in Philadelphia in 2023. She passed away from her battle with sarcoma in 2025, but thanks to her family and the people that supported her, her strength, joy, and spirit continues to inspire us. They were part of our Give Back initiative last year. So this year, our Road to the Give Back starts May 30th at Sanger Hall. We are looking for artists. We are looking for sponsors, vendors. We got our 3 amazing judges this year. DJ Gaius from DigiWax. We have Miss Krista B back in a judging capacity. And, of course, Judge Mo Dallas himself, a.k.a. Ace Bradley, will be doing his thing. Shout out to our sponsor, DJ Ace of Spades. Shout out to our sponsors, Ian Visuals. Shout out to Dope DJs, The Evening Rush, everyone that's involved this year. Shout out, of course, to our partners at Rockview Entertainment. If you want to be involved to our Road to the Give Back, please email us at ivproductions@gmail.com. And my last announcement before I get to introduce our beautiful guest, March 15th, this Sunday, we are outside the 5,000 experience. After 3 years, the man, the myth, the legend, S-Rock is throwing an event for the masses to tell him that the Titan never fucking left. All of our energy is got to go towards Child the Model, Akil Ali, who's also celebrating his birthday there. We got a famous rapper. We got DJ Ace of Spades on the 1 and 2. And just confirmed, we have Thought Provoker and Newest Truest on the lineup. And, of course, a special headlining set by the Titan of Rap himself. We are all on one stage, and we are powered by Real Hip Hop. So please get your tickets off the Titan of Rap website and meet me over there. What else is there to say? But whew. So, as many people know, I started Welcome to the Raw Zone. I was also in college getting my master's in communication. So it was really interesting to see something come across my desk where someone that actually studied real public relations, and it's not just I'm no disregards to the people that picked up public relations by just doing it, because I did that with photography. But there's also just a lot of people that don't know the technical aspects of PR while they say PR. So our guest today is actually, and I do my research, so shout out to LinkedIn and all these sites, right? But shout out to the College of St. Rose that put out this stellar kick-ass woman, right? See, you saw what I did there, guys? Yeah. Tonight, we're joined by publicist, producer, and entrepreneur who is building opportunities and infrastructure for creators while defining what modern public relations looks like. And we all know after 2020, that's a whole fuckload of confusion right there, right? Our guest is the founder of Stellar Connect, a New York-based boutique PR agency that specializes in entertainment, music, and cultural brands. Through her work, she's collaborated with major platforms and companies including Amazon Music, Audiomack, Sony Music, EBN TV, Drop the Heat, and Bel Air, while helping artists and brands grow their visibility through strategic campaigns, influencer partnerships, and media rollouts. Before stepping into the world of PR, she developed a strong business foundation working on Wall Street, where she sharpened her skills in negotiation, relationship building, and revenue strategy, tools that now play a major role in how she approaches branding and media development. But beyond the campaigns and the business side of PR, her work is deeply rooted in community and opportunities. Through Stellar Connect, she is committed to supporting emerging creatives, mentoring talent, and helping bridge the gap across creative industries and educational spaces through youth initiatives. Her mission is centered around growth and making future leaders. So tonight, I need everyone to get all their claps out because we got the one and only Stella in the building.
Hi.
Hello
How's
there.
it going?
I'm good. I am so happy you're here.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So lo and behold, I was supposed to actually meet Stella back in November in person.
Yes.
So again, I am sorry about that. You know, life be lifing, and then
Yes, it does.
yeah, it says forget what you want to do, but
No, all the time.
all the damn time. But I'm glad, you know, I went on Threads. I was like, I need some kick-ass women to interview on Raw Zone. And then you came across my desk. I was like, yes.
Well, thank you for having me. I didn't know you studied communication as well, so that's awesome that you have that background.
Yeah. So it's funny because I started off my whole career as a nightclub photographer, and then I built my photography business off that. But because I was doing so much media work in the sense of like promotions at the time, and like marketing for the nightclubs and this and that, I was like, and I ended up taking an internship with Angelique Lozada. Shout out to her. She's actually
Nice.
She's now based in Puerto Rico, so she's doing her thing over there. She gave me my first PR textbook, so I'm here reading it, and I ended up doing it. But I've seen so much, like, you know what I mean when I say like the PRs that say they're PRs, but they really just say they're PRs to go to the parties.
Yes. So more socialite than PR.
Yes. Thank you. So when I actually do the research, I'm just like, oh my God, is that an actual breath of fresh air? Like she could tell, she knows what a real press release looks like.
Yes. Which you don't see a lot of them sometimes working with music artists. You see like a variation of press releases and EPKs.
And then or like the I personally do like the email press releases instead of the actual PDF unless they're requesting it. And then I'll do like the little thing, but it's some people, like I had an incident. I'm sending out a press release and the guy is just asking for a drop, right? But me, I know in the drop, like, okay, he has to say the name of the platform, this, that. He got mad because I asked properly for the full script and thought I was insulting him.
Yes, that happens a lot. I think there's a lot of like miscommunication with creatives, especially when they just don't know certain things. Like we do the best we can with what we know. So I do feel like a big part of my job is honestly educating people or just going through like what is PR, and what is press releases, what are EPKs. So it's definitely a lot of teaching people along the process because it's new for people who are just not in that world.
But now here's my thing, right? And maybe it's because, like, I was talking to my partner about it, and he even said it's also just the landscape of where we work, right? Urban hip hop. I'm not. Once again, I love my hip hop. Hip hop is what keeps me grounded, right? The artists here, the music. I wouldn't be doing what I do if it wasn't for them, right? But at the same time, it's a catch-22 when these same artists that make the best music, they're not taught enough
Mm-hmm.
because they're learning everything as they go along. You
100%. That's
know,
actually something as to why I really like started Stellar Connect, because I used to be a artist manager for drill artists. So
really.
I worked, yes. I worked with my first artist was Shorty Reesley.
Hmm.
He's awesome. He's still making music. He is currently incarcerated, but he still has music that's being released and he still has his campaign. So definitely check him out. But I was working with a lot of drill artists and I started just noticing that a big issue was the lack of knowledge. And they were missing out on so many opportunities because they just didn't know how to type a professional email without starting with the word yo or yo bro, like let's work.
Yeah.
So it was fun for me at least to like I had the opportunity to go away and like learn PR, learn communications, learn business, and a lot of people around me didn't get that same opportunity, so it only felt right when I came back home that if I was going to put myself in these hip hop and drill spaces that I wasn't just trying to pocket off of people, that I was actually educating and teaching them along the process. And that allowed me to really get next to a lot of people just because the overall mission was growth, not necessarily let's just put you out there and hope you go viral.
Yeah, and that's it. I feel like it's also hard because they see people like us walking into these hip hop spaces, and because you have people that also look like us, that act like us on some professional scamming,
Hmm.
they don't know whether who to trust. And it's just like, especially now, you know, how difficult is it for you to try to gauge some of these artists, because eventually the artists you have, they grow to different levels. You guys just the part of natural part of business, whatever the
Hmm.
case may be. Um, how do you show your clientele to build trust with you?
So I'm big on creating an ecosystem. I'm very, very blunt and very honest with clients. A lot of PR agencies really don't even meet with you as much as like I meet with artists. So I do implement artist development in everything I do. A lot of artists aren't ready for PR. The truth is they don't need a publicist. They really just need a sounding board. So while I do offer PR and focus on that, I don't turn away artists who just aren't ready, and I don't try to like just charge them as much as I can to put blogs and stuff out of them. I'll do actual artist development and create an ecosystem. So they become part of more of a community where they can jump in when it aligns with them. And I think that builds a lot of trust. So from events to photo shoots together, outings together, a lot of times like we go to the studio and just hang out, where we're not actually doing work, we're just having like a creative day and we're just in the studio, and while I'm there I get to show them a marketing and PR side, opposed to like you bringing all your friends and now they're just saying, oh that's lit, oh that song is fire. Now you have someone like, oh that's a cool song, what if we were to promote it this way, what if your music video had this, and then in the moment I have all my contacts on my phone so I can bring people in as it's happening. I think that just creates a different level of community and trust for people.
How often is it? Because a lot of once, like you said, some people feel like they don't. Some people also just don't know the difference of needing that sounding board versus needing a PR. What would you say most artists right now need the most?
Um, Therapy.
Well, I mean,
um,
we need therapy to deal with this, but
Everybody needs therapy. So mental health is a big thing I advocate for with all my clients. I encourage them to be in therapy. If they can't afford it, we do find ways to work with them. We find different resources that can just help as outlets. I think all artists need strategic branding when it comes to their artistry. At the end of the day, they all need PR, they all need publicists, just not all at once and not in the beginning. As a publicist, you can't really, artists don't realize that like you can't do much if you tell me, oh, I'm recording my song tonight and it's releasing tomorrow. there's no cover art, no photo shoot, no materials, no EPK, no nothing, but I'm releasing my song tomorrow and I want a publicist. That type of setup throws artists off because they try to move so fast. So I think artists really need more strategic consultations where we plan and organize everything. And I like I said, I do mix everything with mental health. And I think that more people should do that in the creative space because that's when you're mind starts to flourish in such a unique way. You find more creative ways to pour into your craft, and you get this almost like light inside of you of energy when everything starts aligning, when your mental is good, when your creativity is good, and you have someone that's not only soundboarding with you, but also supporting you. I think a lot of artists genuinely lack support in general. So when they find someone who really believes in their goals and where they're going to go, there's just this different energy inside of them.
So what motivated you to do all of this?
Well, so I did go to school for PR. Originally, I studied public relations and new media. So I wanted to originally do film. It's still a goal of mine. It's in the works, one thing at a time. I want to produce and direct. I'm Dominican, so my original goal was that I was going to be a Latina horror movie director, and really
That
introduce
still
that
sounds
space.
really kick ass though.
Thanks. Yeah, we'll get there in the future. I did have a job with NBC Studios, and it was simultaneous to while I was managing artists. And like on one hand, I had this cool job as a PA on set, and then I had this management job that didn't pay. But the music world was so glamorous compared to the movie world. Like when you're on set, there's no glamour. It's all fake. It's just a box that you walk around in, and all the magic really happens in editing. So you don't really get that same feeling from when you walk on stage with an artist, or you're at the DJ booth, or you're going from like interview to interview. And I was doing all of that as a manager. And I really was trying to find my footing with it. It was hard because like the music world was so new to me, but I met this girl who was just so fun. Like she was the epitome of fun. Like she walked in and commanded the room and knew what she wanted. And when we were talking, I was explaining everything I was doing with clients, and she was like, "Oh, you're a publicist, you do PR." But I was calling myself a manager. So when she said that, and she kind of started, like me and her just started talking more, I was like, well, I went to school for PR, so it would make sense that I do PR. And I then once that all clicked for me, it sounds weird because you would assume you jump right into it. But once it all clicked, everything flowed, and seeing people genuinely achieve their goals and watching it go from like that strategy meeting to an actual event or a project, it's a
Yeah.
whole different feeling. So that really is what kept me motivated in it.
Like you reminded me of the moment like I realized that PR was for me because I remember, like I said, I took the internship before I even went into grad school.
Oh wow,
Um,
nice.
I went to some event because I was a photographer at the time, and another person that had hired me for a magazine said, "Hey, do you want to go to this this?" It was a women in business type of event, so you kind of just network, whatever, try to get. I'm like, okay. The lady started talking. She's like, "Hey, let me come have this meeting with me. Maybe I could teach you something you don't know." She then took me to my first, after like a couple of months of doing the internship, she took me to my first red carpet. And it was a
Nice.
Latin Trends event where they had Gilberto Santa Rosa and they had like half of the Latina cast that was on Orange is the New Black. So I'm here geeking out, seeing all of these people I watch on TV like 6 months ago. I see the glamour part that wish I saw more in music. I
No,
saw it in
absolutely.
there, and I'm like,
That's awesome.
oh,
No, yeah, that's awesome. And it really is those little moments that are like they feel like they're out of a show or movie. And it's crazy you said Orange is the New Black, because that was actually a similar experience for me. I was working with a client. I don't want to say like the names
yeah,
because
you
they're
don't
not
have
together anymore. But I was working with the client, and it was one of my first times really being in like recording studios. I was very new to everything. I had a manager at the time who was introducing me to a lot of potential clients and collaborators and people. He was really showing me a lot of the entertainment and music industry. And when I walked into the room, one of the cast members from Orange is the New Black happened to be my client's girlfriend. And she was in the
I
room, and
think
I
I
just
knew
remember.
who.
Probably, yeah. Then I don't believe they're together anymore, so I don't want to like put him out there, but
That's
it was,
fine.
yeah, but it was definitely a surreal moment for me to like have been watching this character on TV all of college, to then be sitting like right next to her and having her like ask me questions and interview me to work with her boyfriend. And it was just a really cool like experience that then just never ended. And it was like back to back experiences like that that it became such a whirlwind that I quit my 9 to 5 job, and I was like, yeah, no, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I just kind of stuck to Stellar Connect since.
So before we actually get into all of that, because um just reading your story and everything, but as a person, as a PR, right, we're always supposed to be poised, on point. But no lie, when you see that person that you grew up seeing, don't tell me you're not geeking out on the inside. Like,
Oh, I was shaking. I was shaking. I actually, there were so many instances where I had to call my best friend like in the hallway and just be like, what do I do? Like, do I stay? Do I like, and I did keep my I hope I kept my composure. I don't know how it was translated. But yeah, after like the first few times meeting big names, I think you get a little bit more comfortable with it. And you just get more like, you just flow a little better. But there are some people who like internally I've geeked out over. Some people I've interviewed where like I wasn't necessarily geeked out for myself. I was more geeked out than my like little brother and my little cousin were gonna see. And I was just like, they're gonna think I'm so cool. Like I'm with these people.
that's how I felt when my students found out that I did the Ron Killings the White Album event, because they
Mhm.
love our truth. But for me, it was last year we had Akon on the show, and like I'm here staying professional, but in my head and like in the group chat, I'm like, yo guys, Akon is sitting right fucking there.
Yeah, and you definitely like, I mean, I tend to be a PA on a lot of like podcasts, so we do cross paths with celebrities, and like yeah, I usually end up being the ones like yelling at people like stop
Like,
taking
chill the
pictures,
fuck
like
out.
focus. Yeah, but inside I'm geeking out. Inside I'm
Like,
definitely like
ah,
sweating and freaking out and like dying to get my picture before we leave.
yeah, no, I would just think it's just like so hard because you want to just be a fan.
But you can. You have to, and I think that like celebrities do appreciate that. I'm actually very bad at like knowing who people are unless you're mainstream. I'm a very big mainstream girly. So I have actually had situations where I've spent like an entire studio session with someone, and then like it wasn't until I got home and went on their Instagram and was like, "Oh my God, you're famous," or wow, like you've worked with these people and you didn't say anything. And those have actually been like my most closest relationships
And
that
then you
I've
look
built.
them up, and then it's usually how it starts, though. Like,
Hmm.
um, cause like how did you want to even just get in communication? Like for me, I used to like watch a lot of TV. I always wanted to know like what's the story behind this person. Just I didn't piece it together till I got older. But was this something you always wanted to do?
Yeah. So when I was little, I was like obsessed with like iCarly. And
Oh
me and my cousins would like have our own. Oh,
no, you're here. You're
oh,
here. You
sorry.
keep on cooking.
I was like, oh my God, I'm so
No, no,
bad with
no. You good.
technology.
Just finish
Yeah,
that.
me and my cousins had our own little like vlog type of camera. I played around with everything besides PR. I wanted to do film, I wanted to be a journalist, I wanted to do marketing, like just every job within it, it was just hard to, it wasn't until college that I figured out public relations was an actual role. But I did also watch a lot of like shows and movies that kind of, now as an adult, I look back and I'm like, okay, it all makes sense. But I was very obsessed with like Scandal and Olivia Pope.
Yes.
So that's like my inspo. I wanted to do what she was doing, just not in politics. It seemed a little too stressful with politics. And I'm just very good at like it. And I leaned into law. I did get accepted to like a Fordham Law program, and I was studying there. And I just kind of remember just feeling like I did not belong and I was not supposed to be a lawyer. And every opportunity that came up that was media events or like just anything within that realm, it just aligns. College aligns as well. Everything I did in college, I'm just doing now and getting paid for. Like I was president of almost every club you can think of, and now I'm pretty much just doing it in the real world.
So as PRs, we lead lives, right? We make personas. I definitely see Olivia Pope in your persona.
Thank you, thank you. We're
Um,
almost there. Not fully at her level, but almost there.
I see you though saving the day. Like I see you as that person.
Thanks.
Um, but when making Stellar, you know, who who were the inspos behind besides Olivia Pope?
Um, so I wouldn't say there's one inspiration. I am very big on rich culture. I study rich people. I love business. So when I started working around a lot of people in entertainment, I noticed that the reason they weren't elevating was because they just literally didn't have a structure. They didn't have any type of business element added to it. So I wouldn't say I had like an inspire. Honestly, Disney. If I can really be honest with it, like Disney, the actual Disney brand,
Corporation.
what yeah, was a huge inspiration. And I actually remember with Vinny, he's the owner of the Lab Studios. It's Vinny from the block.
Okay.
He yeah, he's been a mentor since I started. And I remember like on literal like bounty paper, because we didn't have any paper in the studio. I was writing out like departments and the breakdowns, and he was showing me a lot of like how a music label would work. And I was just restructuring a music label in a similar function of like, okay, if
That's
Stellar
how it
Connect
is.
was Disney, yeah, like if Stellar Connect was Disney and I can own all these sub channels and shows and people, and like Disney Channel made stars at a certain point. They would take the people and literally turn them into superstars, and then brands and clothing brands and all this stuff. So like that would probably be the closest to like an inspiration, but it's honestly a pull of just learning from so many different angles and then seeing where it all kind of clicked.
Okay. So now that we say that Stellar Connect is this hub, right?
Mhm.
We have the podcast that you do. We have Foodie Friday. We have the blog.
Yes.
Um, you have the artist management
So I
event,
don't do artist management anymore. So Stellar
artist
Connect,
development. Sorry,
yes, yes, yes.
sorry. I
No, it's
even I.
okay.
So that's five. How many more umbrellas are there?
So overall, it's three umbrellas. So it's Stellar Connect as the PR. So everything within PR and branding fall within that. Then you
Okay.
have Stellar Reports, which is an umbrella under Stellar Connect. That's media. So within Stellar Reports, the goal is to turn it into like a network where we have different shows that you tune into, like Foodie Fridays. That's not my show. I actually sponsor that show. So the brand sponsors it and it airs every Friday. I have a new podcast, Elevated Wellness, that's owned by me, but it's not like I'm not the face of
Yes,
it.
no, that's my baby.
Yes. No is incredible. He is probably the best person I could have found for this podcast, and he's been bringing the vision to
Seriously.
life. Yeah, he's incredible and so talented. I've been watching him for a while. We've connected in the past, and I told him I was like, I just don't have anything yet. But when I have something, I will pull you in. And as soon as the idea came to light, I was like, this is the person I need to bring in.
And
So
it
we have a couple of different stuff.
because I had him here before the new year, and he mentioned something about doing a podcast, and I'm like, I'm waiting. I am
Yes.
waiting for someone to give you a mic and for you to know. I mean, I love your music. Like he knows, because he's one of those. We didn't even get a chance to actually announce it last year, but he was our break. He was like our breakout artist for 25 because of just everything he was doing. Like he finally broke out of that shell he was in and like
Yes.
went full on note, and I geeked out because it was finally something different in music. Um, but he has so many opinions about mental health and his stance on anti-bullying and all of this, and I'm just like, oh, it was so. When I saw that, and I think I saw it off your page first, off the Stellar Connect, and I saw he was collabed. I'm like, yo, this is perfect. This was his. This is what he needs. Like,
No, yeah.
this is the
And we
perfect.
actually have an episode dropping the first episode dropping this week. So I'm really excited for people to just hear him deep dive into mental health and more specifically within like the entertainment and music industry.
Is mental health is something you've been with for a while. Is it just something you've just been passionate about? Is it something you just want other people to be aware about, or just something that you want to just push for you?
It's a mix. Mental health is a big, I've always been a big advocate for mental health. I've struggled with anxiety and depression on my own. I've been trained in a lot of like different programs to work with people who struggle with mental health. So I've been the person on like the opposite end of like a potential suicide call. I've been the person to like show up for people to kind of like just be there if they are going through a episode or a crisis. So it's something that's just been part of my life. And then when I started working in music, I actually came across a lot of young guys, specifically men, who just alcohol addiction, drug abuse, the homelessness, family issues, and like the trends kind of kept piling up. I've seen a lot of people like come out of prison and really try to work on themselves and end up back in prison. People who've lost so many opportunities because they just didn't have the support or they didn't know how to properly communicate, so anger comes out. Or like just an upbringing that really throws them into a path that's very hard to stray away from. Not impossible, but if it was easy, more people would be in better places. So, in working in music and entertainment, it felt almost like it felt like it was a requirement to incorporate mental health awareness into everything I do because this industry really thrives and survives off of people struggling. Like Juice World, for example. Like we loved his music. I was a really big fan, but there were so many cries for help. There were so many problems. And there's a lot of artists who I mean, I have had artists tell me like, I already know I'm going to die young. I've
Mhm.
already I'm done. So I just need a party until it's that time.
It's sad, right? Because a lot of so people always say it's the women that are the stronger ones. They've endured more mentally, and I really feel like that's not the case. I feel like there's not enough light on men's mental health, especially in the industry, because you have the greats like Jason David Frank, who played Tommy on the Power Rangers. Um, he had his battle with bipolar disorder,
Mm-hmm.
and he ended his life. He left two kids. You have people like Chester Bennington. You have so many people, like even in soap operas. I was like looking at the statistics where Tyler Christopher passed away, Billy Miller, just because they were struggling and no one saw it.
Yeah, 100%. And and I was just talking to someone about it today. My algorithm has always been primarily male. And most of the people I work with are men, and I've been in a lot of male oriented spaces. So I feel like because I was able to get a more inside look on the male world, I saw men in a just a different capacity. I think both men and women struggle tremendously with mental health. But statistically, there are just a lot more guys in the music industry. There's a lot more guys trying to be rappers, and that are studio rats, where they basically live in studios all the time. And I also physically went through the process of a music artist. I've stayed in studios overnight. I've been in situations where I probably shouldn't have been. And I was able to kind of just see life from the perspective of an artist. And I think having so much access to men who feel comfortable, or I hope they've felt comfortable and have trusted, me in their journey and in their family problems and personal issues, relationships, being able to be a sister figure to a lot of these guys, I think was not by accident. So I do try to find as many opportunities to bring men together. Like, of course, women also have a lot of issues, but we as women tend to do a lot of get-togethers, a lot of wine nights, a lot of brunches. There's always a lot of targeted things for women, which is incredible, and we need to keep doing it. But there's a hard push in the Latino and Black community for men when it
Yeah.
comes to mental health, and having those conversations. And guys do have those conversations. I've almost started a book club at a trap studio. Um, and they recommended the book to me on what we should read together, and wanted to make music around that book. So like I think there's a stigma around like rappers and hip hop and drill, and working with drill artists specifically was a big eye opener, because now we have like sexy drill and people who just do drill and associate it with a beat. But drill music was always originated from sharing your story on going on drills. And anyone who's experienced that lifestyle, that is very mentally a lot. So it's been a journey, but it's definitely part of just everything that I do.
In your opinion, when do you feel drill became dangerous? Because at one point, drill was just a new music trend. It was just like, okay, are you into drill? I'm like, maybe. Let me think about it. Let me listen a little more. And then it became something where it's like, okay, now people are hurting each other worse than it was back in the day.
I think drill was always a dangerous genre per se. I mean, I don't think well, actually, let me fix that. Music is definitely dangerous because there's a lot of frequencies in it, especially like drill music. So there's a lower frequency in those type of beats. So it makes you angry when you hear it. It makes you want to fight. It makes you want to like be more aggressive when you're listening to drill music versus like classical music. Um, I think it became more of a public concern when it became mainstream. I think people who genuinely listen to real drill music, it's always been dangerous, because if you're listening to drill music, you're connecting to drill music, and or like drill music from before like the Cash Cobain era, like was literally people explaining these drills they went on. So the crowds of people, I mean, even some of the artists I worked with didn't allow me to come to certain outings. Like as the publicist, as the friend, as the person representing them, like I was never caught in certain events, performances, or get-togethers, because it was just a danger to be there. You can either I've been shot at events. Not like they were shooting at me, I just happened to
No,
be in
of
the
course.
crossfire. I've also had clients who are to this day still undergoing surgeries from bullet wounds and stuff. So I think drill music was always dangerous. I think it just became more public because of social media and this new era of like young kids that we have. It became so mainstream that now it's cool to be gangster. But people don't even know what being gangster means because they're going off of people who
What
aren't
they see in the
actually
media.
that. Yes. And I do believe the media is doing that on purpose, but conspiracies.
See, and that's what I don't like either, because like I said, I work with kids during the day. So when they're thinking, Miss Katie, this is cool. Oh, no. I was like, Miss Katie, this is cool. I'm like, no, it's not. Sit down. Stop this shit. You're in school. Like, you got a whole future ahead of you. What are you trying to do right now?
Yeah,
You know?
it's rough. I mean, so my company does work with a couple of DOE vendors. So I actually just did a retreat with a couple of high school kids upstate, which was really fun. And I do little projects with them. They have a podcast they're launching, so we've been working on that. But like listening to like the stuff that they go through and their stories and like their mindset, these a lot of these kids have just grown up way too fast and exposed to way too much, and there's a lot of anger. And when you have music like drill music that radiates a frequency that's really low, you're now taking their anger that they're feeling with their parents, with their friends, at home, with their hormones, and you're magnifying it and telling them the only way to really be seen or heard is by being a menace. So it's tricky.
I hope that in the media in general, instead of capitalizing on it, I hope we can start reforming it. Because I'm really
That's what we're
honest,
here for.
man. I'm always scared of what the future gonna look like.
Yeah, that is also why I do why I want to be in media. Also why I keep mental health so close to my business because we are the future of shaping the media. We are the next people who will be running these companies and putting things on. I mean, people are watching, you know. People are tuning in, people are seeing it whether it's on Instagram or on a network, on TV or streamed. Like there are people paying attention, so when you have a platform, I just think it's very important to know what you stand for.
So now, while you're helping everyone bridge themselves on a professional and a healthy social emotional level, what are you doing for yourself to make sure you're good?
Oh, I love being alone. I I spend so much time around people and on calls that I value so much my alone time. I'm very laxed with life. So I do like yoga, Pilates. I've just bought a kitten, so he's been keeping me occupied. Yeah, he's sleeping somewhere behind me. But I am very big on just taking care of myself and doing what I want to do, and that, my mom sacrificed a lot for me to have that ability. So I just do what I want. If I'm overwhelmed, I go and get a massage. If I need a day off, I give myself a day off. I don't really have to explain to anybody why I'm having a bad day. I just kind of shut off the world, and yeah, it'll regroup when I'm better. So putting myself first is honestly what I do. And alone time, I take myself out on dates. I love to eat. So I definitely just treat myself to some food, and I'm a tourist. So food and a movie
Oh, your
really
birthday's
is,
coming up.
it is April 21st. So I'm always here for just some alone me time. Or like I have some close friends who tend to come over to my apartment. From time to time we do like a game night or a movie night. I'm a very big TV girly, so it drives my friends crazy, but I am the let's watch this movie, let's have a movie marathon. I just had a Harry Potter marathon with my friend the other day.
Oh my
And
god, my coworkers will love you. I love Harry Potter, but I stopped watching the movie. The last one I saw had to have been the third or the fourth one. The last book
oh,
I
you gotta
read,
finish.
yeah, the last book I read, mind you, I have up to book five, but I read up to two.
I didn't
I
read the books. I will say that much. And I can't watch them too much back to back, but my friend was over and he there was one Harry Potter that he didn't see, so we watched the one before it and then that one, and it was pretty cool.
that's not bad. I I gotta try. I'll try it again. If they made me reconsider Game of Thrones, then I watch it. I'll watch. I'll try.
It's worth just, finishing it all the way through.
So it is Women's History Month. We are here highlighting you and all the amazing work you've done so far. Um, as a woman in PR, What was the biggest challenge you faced starting Stellar Connect?
Um, the biggest challenge I would say is being an opinionated woman. I am very blunt. I'm very emotionless sometimes. I did work on Wall Street, and that culture really stuck to me. So, transitioning back and forth from an overly emotional industry and then an underly emotional industry was a bit of a power struggle for me. I've had, like I said, I work with a lot of male clients, and there are just some guys who don't like being told what to do by a woman. As old dated as that might sound, as outdated as that might sound, it is a thing. Egos were probably a huge thing that I struggled with. So egos and challenging people has always been a big issue, but primarily when I started, it was hard for people who had been in this industry for like 5 to 10 plus years to then kind of grasp how I was able to get next to them. And then it annoyed a couple of people when then now someone who's younger than them, less experience, is now coming in and telling them what to do, and trying to tell them like, well, no, if you do it this way, this is how it's going to work. And it's definitely not liked when you're doing that to a man. So that was an issue I've dealt with.
Can you elaborate more, especially being that you did work on Wall Street and this kind of goes hand in hand with how you approach, since being that you were had to deal with those egos, how were you able, how was your experience through there, through Wall Street, help shape the way you negotiate and you approach clients?
Yeah, so I actually got my Wall Street position because they heard me on the call with a PR client. Um, I happened to just be working in the Trump building with someone, like literally the most randomest setup. I didn't have an actual job. I was not getting paid. My family was also so confused as to why I was working and not getting paid and spending money and going near broke. But I was talking to a client on the phone, and one of the guys in the office heard me and was like, "You should do sales." And literally the same day he trained me and he hired me. And I will say there was a lot less ego and emotions working on Wall Street. I had to also professionalize myself again. Like going into the entertainment industry, I had to unprofessionalize myself. I was very corporate when I started because I was coming straight out of college. And I had to kind of turn that off a bit. Then going back onto Wall Street, I had to turn it back on, but in a more aggressive way. So like when you do, I was an MCA broker. So I provided loans to small businesses. So, and I only got paid on commission. So there was just a more aggressive approach in talking to business owners versus when you're in the entertainment industry or working with brands on the PR side. I had to transition into being more compassionate and more understanding that people have lives and that things happen when you're on Wall Street or in anything within finance. No one really cares. No one cares that you have a life. They don't care if you have a partner, if you have kids. They just need their money. So that's a bit of a difference in both of them. So like it leaks in. I've had times where I've talked to PR clients and they're complaining, and I have to hit them with the like, all right, that does not matter and this does not matter. This is what we need to get done. Let's cut the conversation. So it definitely helped on both ends. It's just a matter of reading the room and reading your client, knowing how to communicate with them. But yeah, that experience of just being more direct and less like Wall Street definitely allowed me to not be afraid to like be like, I don't want to listen to you talk. And like this meeting is unnecessary. And I have told managers and clients that like this is a very unnecessary meeting and it's wasting my time. So I'm going to hang up. Um, and you kind of just excuse yourself, but you have to like obviously know who you're talking to and engage. But when it comes to speaking to men, who have ego issues, it definitely becomes a contradiction when you're telling them what to do and that hits them on a personal note.
I always, for it just, I feel like it's difficult for me sometimes because everyone, I'm not singling out no clients. I'm just saying in general, right? everyone says they need something or they need to do this, they need to do that, right? But they also don't realize that the PR has a job,
Hmm.
and because you're going through this or you don't have this on time, it, like I'm sorry, like part it's like how many times did you feel like you have to catch yourself in between like, okay, I get you, I'm sorry you're going through this, but dude, this is not my fucking problem. Like,
I mean, internally, yeah, I always kind of think I'm also very. So a big thing I tell everyone is when you're working with people, especially in entertainment, it's not to disrespect anybody, of course, but you remember those books like Real Estate for Dummies?
yes.
When you're teaching or working with anyone, you have to really treat them like PR for dummies. So I break things down. My biggest issue is I will send the most detailed email, the most detailed text message, and the most detailed reminder, and I'll still get asked the questions that were sent in all of these. I have very blunt ways of just telling people I don't care. Figure it out. And they usually pick it up and move accordingly once you kind of set that boundary with them from the beginning. So like if someone asks me a question multiple times when I've answered it through email and text, I just highlight the message or I copy and paste the message or I'll say like, did you read what I sent you? Sometimes when you make people feel a little silly, it makes them wake up because most people, and I am aware of it, which is also something that helps, is just like most people aren't paying attention. They don't read the full message you send. They usually glaze through it and then fill in the blanks in their head. They're usually filling people like humans fill in the blanks as they go along. Most people don't even listen to a full conversation when you're talking to them. They just
And
pick up
so
certain
frustrated.
words. It's crazy, but again, like I study a lot of like rich business owners, and like one thing that one of them, Mark Cuban, one of my favorites, like he doesn't talk to clients ever. He does not talk to clients. He never gets on a call. So he doesn't deal with that level of stress. So the minute someone starts stressing me out to the point where now I can't do my job or it's on them, I'll drop the client if I have to. I have sent people their money back. The one thing I won't do is stress myself out for someone's inability to keep up. There's no money in that.
I respect that because sometimes I'll just be like, okay, I'll put up with it. I'll put up with it. Then there's
For how
sometimes
long?
I know, and then I'm here checking myself, like, okay, how long more are we gonna do this before I say something?
It's like a relationship. How long would you stay in a toxic relationship before you walk away
That is true.
and stuff? Which is why a lot of business owners struggle because most of us, me, would stay longer than we should in relationships. But it's the same business wise. I've had really toxic business relationships where like I held on for dear life. I held on for dear life with sinking ships, and one of my friends, he told me once, he was like, you're so loyal that you're willing to drown with the ship, but don't be the last person on that sinking ship.
I also,
So,
but I also feel like as far as like longevity wise, right? When we grew up, I don't want to assume your age range or whatever, but I want to say you possibly are a '90s kid like me.
99. I just made it.
God bless you. I did not expect that. Okay, I'm definitely way older than you. Um, I'm early '90s. Oh God. Um,
It's okay. That's usually the case with everyone I'm around. I just
but
let
you
people
see,
believe I'm older.
that's funny because back when I was your age, then that was the same thing for me. So it's kind of just weird where I just saw life kind of um but I feel like the era we grew up in, and you say you're Dominican, very
Hmm.
hardworking, deep rooted culture. Like I'm Greek, so my mother always taught me you're gonna have a job, you have to stay with it.
Yes.
So I feel like for us it's also that. It's not just how long are we gonna stay. It's like, okay, on a resume they told us the longer you stay, the better it looks. This is You know, you don't want to have a bad look. You don't want to have them say, "Oh, you did this, that, and the third," because it's gonna look bad at a job. Even though the climate now sucks.
Yeah.
Anyone can get a job any way possible, but
Yeah, it's crazy. You don't even need school anymore. Makes me feel like I owed a lot of money for no reason. Um,
I don't.
something my mom said to me that was great because my grandma has more of that mentality of like get a job, get a really high paying job and have kids, and I chose more of a like career driven path than the women in my family. Dominican family is a little questionable. But
I mean, some
my
people in my world too, but they'll live.
yeah, but we're making it work. My mom always said to me, "You're not a tree." So I actually grew up watching my mom. My mom had me at like 16, she was turning 17. So I really grew up with my mom, and I watched her go through that same mentality of like, I went to school and I got this job. I'm supposed to see it through, and I have kids. I have a family. I have to take care of them. And she was so brave and kind of like, this job is disrespecting me so much. I'm leaving. And she quit and she found another job. And then she started her own business and it didn't work. And she was like, you know what? Eff it. I'm gonna do this. And she went into real estate and like dominated in real estate. And then it just didn't align. And she was like, you know what? Like, I'm going back to school. And she went back to school and she graduated top of her class and now is an EMT and is doing EMT full time. And she absolutely loves it. But it was a journey to get there. And she just kept reminding me, she was like, God didn't put us on earth to be trees. We're not rooted into one thing. We're not supposed to just stay in one place. So do every job, do every activity, do literally everything you can do because you're only here literally for this time that you have.
Yeah,
So that really like that helped a lot. And it's not easy because yes, even with that mentality, she had her worries when I was not making any money. Same with like just the older generations of my family, they don't get it. Like PR is so new.
yeah.
And trying to explain it in Spanish to people is very complicated, but they've gotten very supportive, and it aligns so much with what my family does. Like everyone in my family has their own business. Just all of the men in my family have their own business. I'm one of the like first girl women to really be like, you know what, I'm gonna do it without a man.
That feels great, right? Like, really talk about it. Like, it feels great to be the only female that has, like, out of all the males.
It is. It's a lot of pressure. My uncles are very good at business. I learned a lot from them. My uncles have definitely made it out. I wouldn't say I made it out just yet. But watching them really go from like working in an apartment building or working at Domino's to now like running these huge businesses. One of my uncles is like he's one of the top owners at like one of the biggest real estate firms in New York. My other uncle runs his own luxury car service for celebrities. So he goes on tour with these artists and drives them around and coordinates the uh sprinters for all of those big like concerts and traveling. So watching them, my grandma also owns her own bodega with her husband. So
Yeah.
like it's always been business. Just usually the women have always had a man who went into business and they supported it. It's never been the woman saying like, "Hey, I'm actually gonna wait on having kids. I'm gonna have a business instead." And I think that was very inspiring and scary for some family members. So I'm happy I can do it and show my little cousins like you don't gotta be married. You can do this on your own.
I love it. Oh my god. Um, what are some things? Because we also, so shout out to Michael O. We played
Yes.
one of your artist songs, right? Um, you have. He's also, I'm assuming, not your only artist because you have an artist that put out the Selfish Heart song.
That is Michael O. He's not my only artist. I have a couple of artists, but yeah, Michael is one of my main clients right now. I also work with Pastel. He's incredible. Starting to work a little bit more with No as well. I have a couple artists that are not on retainers just yet, but we've been working on a couple like little projects. So it always fluctuates depending on the month.
For I got to creep on Michael O a little bit, and okay, now that I know that you've been working with him, like a lot of things are making sense right now. But what are what are some mistakes artists have made as far as coming to market themselves?
That's a great question. So a lot of mistakes that artists make is one, buying likes, comments, followers, or streams. It's one thing to pay to be playlisted or to be considered for playlists or for ads to run, but paying directly for those things just doesn't help you longevity wise. You can get flagged from distribution companies and labels if you collaborate with an artist that is signed and you pay for the like streams, your song can get flagged and it can be taken down. It also looks really bad on Instagram when you buy followers and then the engagement doesn't add up. That's been an issue I've had with some clients before they got to me, where they had purchased like followers or engagement. You become very like, you can tell right away. I think most people who are on Instagram can kind of just tell if you paid for some stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a huge mistake I think a lot of artists make. I think another mistake that it's not talked about is that artists don't actually sit and think about what they're doing. Um, like my first thing when I work with anybody is, what is your goal? And a lot of times they don't actually have an answer. So I think a mistake is kind of jumping the gun into like just wanting to put music out when you're really considering being a music artist as a career or anything as a career. If you're going to be in fashion, a blogger, or journalist, a media host, literally anything you're going to do, I think you have to actually sit down and physically write out what your goals are, what you're trying to do, and what you're like, what is it in 3 years? What is it in 5 years? What is it in 10 years? And then you work backwards. Most artists are really, really not prepared for what being an artist actually entails. And then the like last mistake I would just throw in there is thinking that being an artist is a get rich opportunity. I think if you think artistry is your ticket out of the hood or out of your current situation or going to make you financially free and you're going to retire by 30 or less than 30. I've heard people say I want to retire by 26. It's such an unrealistic goal that I think that throws artists for a loop when they get hit with the actual reality of how much work it takes to be an artist.
You said on the side you're working on an educational program to help artists. What initiatives are you looking to touch on? Work.
So I'm actually in the process of creating syllabuses and curriculums to sell to schools. I want to take music artists and engineers, producers, publicists, journalists, media hosts, and create a legitimate program that we can then go and teach within these schools. And to take it a step further, I've also been connecting with different incarceration programs and juvenile detention programs so that these engineers who don't, because a big issue is money. A lot of people don't have money. Government has a lot of money to give, especially in the education world. So finding jobs for engineers, writers, music producers, artists to be able to go into like juvies and high schools and really like teach these kids different things and skills while getting paid for it, it is really the like next step. And then part of Stellar Connect is to launch a master class, which would be now for the artists and creatives, where we will be teaching you not just how to like not just to understand PR, but to actually know how to brand yourself and understand your image and then build from that. A big example I use is like the Barbie movie. Most people don't think so deeply, but like the Barbie movie took so many different PR strategies. They made everything pink. Everything was the same font. Every big brand and artist collaborated down to Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice in the
Yeah.
actual movie. So taking it a step further and not just looking at yourself as someone who's gonna drop a song that's gonna go viral, or I'm gonna be on this mic platform and it's gonna go viral. Like actually creating something that's deeper is really the focus. And we don't just single out music artists, we work with business owners, fashion designers, um, just anyone who's a creative in any aspect, everyone needs support.
In today's social media driven world, how important is it for us to have influencer partnerships and digital campaigns?
Very important. I think everyone needs to be digital. This is not an era for people to not be collaborating or doing like lacking anything on the digital side of marketing. So yeah, I think it's extremely important. I think there's no excuse anymore to succeed. And that I think creates an intense level of pressure for people because there's just so much you can do. But now the world is positioned to show you who's gonna win and who's going to fall off. And falling off is not a bad thing. Sometimes just there's different paths for people, but we have everything at our fingertips, down to chat gpt. There is, no excuse to not know how to send an email, to not pitch to people, to not digitally market yourself, to not run an actual campaign, or to not just Google the answer to certain things. And everything is so accessible now. So I think it's super important to be really collaborative and inside of the digital marketing world.
Do you feel like it's ignorance if they don't, or like what do you feel like separates the artists who are making it through this now versus the ones that haven't?
I don't think it's ignorance. I mean, of course, there's some people who are ignorant, but I don't think as a whole it's ignorance. I think it's a mix of fear. It's a lot. Like it is sometimes I do consultations and a 20-minute conversation is a lot for a creative. When you're now pulling their personal life, you're pulling their mental, you're pulling all these ideas, and then you start adding, like, okay, this is a great idea, but this means I have to do X, Y, and Z. And then you have to execute it. And since like COVID, I just think people's anxieties have gone up tremendously at the thought of having to be social, if the thought of having to speak to people, at the thought of having to go to events. So I think people do the best they can with what they know. And you'd be surprised at just how many people don't know a lot. Or things just don't cross their minds to think of, I should Google this, or to think I should do that. So I wouldn't put it on ignorance. I think there's just a fear level of like, I can't, like, people have a lot of imposter syndrome. And I think a lot of people feel like they don't actually, I don't think a lot of people believe they can obtain what their goals are, which is why I always ask people, what is your goal? If your goal is to be a touring artist, but you are not working out, you're not eating good, you sleep in until like 1 in the afternoon every day, you're going to struggle. Most artists won't even be able to walk across an actual performing stage without running out of breath. Most artists don't know the difference between stage left and stage right. They don't have never performed with an earpiece in their ear, have never had, like there's just so many things that you have to think about if that's your goal. And they're spending all their time in the recording studio thinking that now this is what's going to make them famous. So like I just think that not actually having direction, and then that fear, that imposter syndrome, is really what holds artists back. I don't think it's overall ignorance. I think once you open that door for them, if they then choose to not go through it, you can kind of figure out from there where they stand. But if everyone had the ability to do it, then no one would need to hire me. So it's okay for people not to have it fully flushed out. And it's my job to not make people feel, not up to par because they just don't know something. I think it's my job to really just guide them on that journey. And you can tell within the first few conversations if they're really going to make it. Usually I can tell if they're going to fall off as an artist. You can tell if they're going to lean towards their 9 to 5 a little bit more. Or if they're just going to be people who put out random songs every so often and never really blow up.
What is your experience? Well, what's something? Apologies. From your time in Amazon Music, Audio Mac, and Sony, what can you take from your experience there that you apply to working with your current artist?
So I didn't work directly within those companies. I worked tangent to them. So I've had clients that we've released like performances and videos through Amazon Music. I've had clients that were playlisted on Tidal. Um, Audio Mac, I've done events in there a bunch of times. One thing I learned in working in all of those companies is that all of them are extremely different. I also learned that they there's a lot of politics that people don't think about. And it's something whenever I have someone who's new working with me, part of my company, that I always have to ease them into, because all of these companies just run differently politically. So I've had multiple clients, let's say, for example, working with AudioMac, how I approach AudioMac has to be so sensitive and very tailored, because you have clients that are just in different levels. Some clients are in with the actual team that's running the company and running the marketing, and some clients are just renting out the space. So you have to, something that was really big was just learning how to properly navigate in communication with these different brands, and then seeing what they actually require from people. You see that some of them require a lot of press material versus others that are cool with just an Instagram link. You see where they're more focused on. I've worked with like Belair, which was so great, and their hospitality was amazing, but they were very strict in when we were filming how things should be, and rightfully so, so that there was a flow with our podcast, which then I took on to other podcasts, or when we went to different locations, that same structure and flow of how we moved. You learn different tricks working with different professionals. You learn how to not freak out when you see a celebrity walk in, because it's so frequent, especially in the Belair headquarters. Like
Yeah.
you can really just be drinking, and all of a sudden now they're filming a whole episode of their drink show. So it really is just learning how to navigate the different political systems within each company.
Through Stellar Connect, you emphasize community centered storytelling. How important is community and what does this mean to you?
Very important. I think everything we do should be community based, because that's how we're here. Um, Everything is collaborative. I am always open to collaborating with people if it aligns. I think it's just very important to have that community aspect in everything I do. I also really value that when it comes to like my culture. So like I have hosted an event in Dominican Republic where my family was very involved, in like getting donations and setting up like the trucks to pick all the kids up in the mountains, and the food and the snacks, and it's just something that's very enrooted in me. I was a Girl Scout, my brothers were Boy Scouts, my mom was a Girl Scout and Boy Scout leader. My grandma runs almost every club or group in the church that you can imagine. She so like all the women in my family are very like community leaders and have always been like that. So just growing up, everything I did was community based. I mean, even Thanksgiving, I would usually spend half of Thanksgiving at like a homeless shelter cooking and donating. And then I would come home and meet my family and like fall asleep at the kitchen table because I was tired from cooking and feeding people. Um, so yeah, and my mom made it a big point for us to be super involved in like community things. Now as an adult, I'm not as involved as I would like to be, but like I knew a lot of the people at homeless shelters because I was a frequent volunteer. I've volunteered at Columbia University for like events. And yeah, in college, same thing. In high school, I was very community based. So in my business, I just think that that's important to keep rooted in there. And there's just a very different feel when you create an event that's less structured as a showcase and more structured as like your family party, or where it feels like you're at a family function. You get a lot more comfortable, people spill a lot more secrets, and you just like connect with people on a whole different level. And it goes back to that aspect of trust. If I'm creating a space that's safe and comfortable and you feel almost like this nostalgia to when you were young and in that more safer headspace, you're going to trust me a lot more with what we do with your business or with your artistry.
When it's all said and done, and it is a long, long time from now, but what legacy do you want to leave behind?
um I don't know what the exact legacy is. I think that's for the people to decide. I mean, even the name Stellar was given to me. That's something where like people named me Stellar and then I embodied that. So I think my legacy is for the world to let me like to solidify it. But when it's all said and done, I do hope that I inspired people to really follow their passion and showed that you don't have to be white or come from money to live a very specific lifestyle. You don't have to drown in poverty and you don't have to stay stuck in a place that you're like, you just don't have to be miserable. And if there's one thing people can take away is that like you can choose to not be unhappy, as hard as it may be, but like the worst thing is to be trapped in any type of feeling, in anything, relationship wise, family wise, work wise, career wise, and not feel like you're really living to that full potential. So I really hope that like the business and the events and the clients that we help just kind of feel empowered and feel like whatever their goal is, no matter if it's to be stay-at-home mom or stay-home husband or work all the time or work a 9 to 5, that you're just living in your truth and you're happy. Because we struggle so much. And like one thing I always tell people is like family is a great example. We make a lot of excuses for toxic family relationships, and you don't have to. We make a lot of excuses for jobs that we hate because society literally taught us you need to tough it out or you need this job to survive. But like someone said this, and don't quote me on it because it's an insane quote, but they said like we were in the studio and I think we had pulled an all-nighter and we were trying to figure out ways to make money. We were all extremely low. I think we all shared like the last of our bank account money to buy Dunkin' Donuts. And we were like, you know what, like we don't have money to go home, so we'll just sleep in the studio and we'll get Dunkin' Donuts and that'll be like we'll make the money. And someone kind of looked at us and was like, if the crackhead outside can find money to buy drugs and be happy, you're gonna find money to follow your dreams and make it happen. And it was the most randomest thing he could have said, but then we all kind of started thinking like, yeah, this homeless person literally wakes up and hustles every day to make money and they get exactly what they're trying to get money for. Um, so why can't we? And that kind of stuck with me. And I think the last thing I'll add to that is I used to work in a hospital and it was an incredible job. It was a great
Is there
job.
anything you haven't worked in?
No, actually, I have done a lot of jobs. I love money. I love working. Like I have worked in Yes, like I have worked in a kitchen washing dishes. I have worked teaching archery. I have done a lot of different jobs. All courtesy to my mom. I have to give her credit. Like my mom is on Facebook all the time and whenever a job pops up, she sends it to me. And it'll be like 3-day jobs, 2-week jobs, and she'll be like, "Go do it." And I'll just honestly go and do it. But my mom did get me the hospital job. I was really, really low financially. Like when I say low, I was in the negatives. I had gotten a ticket for hopping the train because I didn't have money to pay the train, and then I didn't have money to pay the ticket. And I was so upset because there were like people doing drugs on the train and the cops didn't do anything about them, but I got a ticket. And
So
I was
drugs is
so
bad.
It was terrible, and I remember walking to work and being like, okay, well, you're not going to eat lunch today, like you literally cannot eat until you get home. And I was going from, my shift was from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m., and my job was like an hour away from me, so I had to leave my house by like 3:33, or like 3 o'clock or 3:30, and always had to get to work a little bit early to set up because we started at 5, but prep was at 4:30.
Yeah.
So I was, and it was a surgical hospital, so I was responsible for getting everyone ready for surgery. So it was definitely exhausting to go from, like, sometimes I would go straight from the recording studio in Manhattan straight to work, no sleep, no money, like just really trying to figure it out. And I was really unhappy, and I started noticing, like, I stopped dressing up for work. I stopped, like, I was coming in almost sweats, and we had dress codes. I was getting in trouble a lot for like being late or just not showing up, which was very out of character for me. Like, I'm a A+ type of student, so then being the one that was throwing off the frequency was off for me. And then my manager, he was talking about how he wanted to do all these things and how this isn't what he wants to do and how he's going to eventually leave, and he didn't actually know what he wanted to do with life, and he was a lot older than me. And then he was like, well, I've been here for 10 years, and he had just kept getting promoted, and they offered me to be promoted, like to apply to for a higher position. But there was a girl there who was actually studying to work in healthcare. So I told my mom, I was like, if I take that promotion, like, I'm taking this opportunity away from her, and I would have to commit more to this hospital. So I quit. Um, it was just not for me. And the people who worked there knew I was gonna quit. Actually, a couple people quit right after me. So I don't know if I'm responsible for that or not, but I did talk up a lot about following your dreams and, don't die
Yeah.
here, don't be miserable. And three people quit with me. But hopefully not related to me, but I did quit the job. They all knew I was gonna quit because everything I did was Stellar Connect at my work. I was writing on paper how to organize the departments, how to create the services. Like, I was in such the creation process of my business that nothing else really mattered to me. And it was a great job. Like, it was stable pay. I had benefits, I had everything. And I told my mom, I was like, I can't do this. So she gave me a lot of grace and really supported me when I quit. And yeah, I can't, the concept of being somewhere miserable for the rest of your life doesn't feel like what God put us on earth to do. So yeah.
Gotta give you that applause. Now, no matter what I ask, it'll never compare to that ending. 1 second. Wow.
Oh, real pauses. That's so sweet.
I listen. I had to. I was looking for the button. It wasn't. It stream. See, the powers that be, right? They don't want us to be great, because everywhere in the world, life is kind of going a little cuckoo. So they said, let's screw up the stream yard too. But we got this. We got your applause in. Um, I want to thank you so much for sitting here and talking about it, because a lot of people won't talk about what artists really need, because a lot of people think they know, like we said in the beginning, some people want to be socialites as opposed to actually being PRs, and they want to take the money and they want the glitz and glam, they want to go to the events, but they don't sit and talk about the real work that really does go into PR and the frustration that it does take to make sure a brand comes out, to be a brand. Myself as a PR, like I struggle with that, especially with artists that are trying to get out of that mentality. And I'm glad someone's actually sitting there and really putting it out there. Um, I I think your stance on mental health and helping the incarcerated is something that a lot of people haven't thought of and should think of. I want to thank you for telling us more about it, and I wish if you do more with that program, and I would love to help out in any way possible.
Absolutely.
um but what's next going forward for you?
So next would be actually launching those programs. Right now we have a couple of like events coming up. We're onboarding a couple of new clients, so there's going to be a transition. Every like campaign is different. So right now we just finished a couple of campaigns, so we're just onboarding new clients. But the next big thing is really launching like Stellar Reports with Elevated Wellness, the podcast, different shows under there, launching these educational programs and just getting Stellar Connect a little bit more solidified in the PR world. We're expanding to Florida. So we are going there. Yeah, we started with Art Basel in December. I think we were out there. Yeah, in December. We're going to be out there in April again for the Rebel Agencies event. They're doing a 2-day event out there. So we've been mixing in with like the fashion and the modeling world. And then slowly from Florida, I'm hoping to expand out of Florida. My goal is to really just get Stellar Connect in everywhere, where we can have teams of publicists. It would be a dream to have a Stellar Connect office in Dominican Republic and have women running it. I don't think that we see a lot of women publicists and media people in Dominican Republic. So having like boss babes just really take over and like run the marketing for every business out there, I think would be really cool. The Latin community is a new space that I want to really dive into artist wise. So I am working with a couple of like streamers and producers who are in the Latin market. And yeah, then keep branching out from there. I mean, this it's endless in terms of where we can go, but just expansion is really the next step.
You know who you can collaborate with, and it literally just popped in my head. His name is George Torres. They call him the Urban Hero. Shout out to George, by the way. He had a blog at one point called Sofrito for Your Soul, and it
That
was
sounds very familiar.
yes. So he also was part of the Capicu Culture, the open mic series that was
Got
in
it.
Brooklyn, that was running for like 15 years. He created Siembra Connect in order to help podcasts, to help different different types of creatives to brand themselves. And I feel like, and I'll make a group chat so you two could link up. But I feel like
Absolutely.
both of your platforms align because the Siembra Connect newsletter reminds me of what you're trying to do.
Nice. I would definitely love to connect. That sounds awesome.
Um, so, but for now, because I'm gonna hear start, we're gonna be sitting here talking more about PR, and then it's getting late, and then the powers that be are gonna cut me off for passing the 2 hour mark again. But tell the world where they can find you.
Ah, my Instagrams. My personal Instagram is zeroofficially_stellar. And then on my personal Instagram, you can find all of my business Instagrams. Everything is stellar. I was hacked a little while ago. So there is 2 Stellar Connect accounts. The one that is the correct one is on my bio. So there is officially Stellar Connect, and Stellar Reports and Stellar Events. And they can all be found on my bio. But like I said, find them from my bio because when you type in the name, both Instagrams pop up.
All right, guys, this was an exciting episode of Welcome to the Raw Zone. You could catch this episode on Puso 82.3 FM and the Evening Rush Radio Network next week. Please enjoy our replay with Nia Dorsey this tomorrow and on Friday. Of course, follow us everywhere, rawzonenyc.com. Catch us on location March 15th at Sanger Hall for the 505,000 experience. Please follow the beautiful Stella everywhere. Guys, get your tips, get everything from her. As for myself, follow us everywhere at rawzonenyc, www.rawzonenyc.com. And of course, my Instagram at is that the kitty in the background?
It is.
Hi, cutie
Trying to make an
patootie.
appearance.
See, Mello would get mad that I'm saying hi to you. That's my dog. But I closed the door because he tries to hog the show.
Right.
But to end the night, I leave everyone with these parting words.
I've got one more thing to say, and it'll only take me a second. I've got 2 words that I want you all to remember. They're very important. And if I leave you with anything, I'm going to leave you with these 2 words. And those 2 words are I'm Batman.
Good night, everyone.